You know the stupidest thing about the, like, what if my child starts identifying as a cat? When I was in elementary school in the very early 2000s, I entered kindergarten in the year 2000. For like years, literally the whole time I was at elementary school, we had a game on the playground. This was played by everybody of all grades. It was a tiny elementary school, so you couldn't only play with people in your grade. And it wasn't really a game. We had the meow meows and the woof woofs. We had little gangs, tiny little cults. If you were a cat person, you were in the meow meows. If you were a dog person, you were in the woof woofs. And this was an important part of our culture for all 7 years at that elementary school. And nobody complained once. Not once. And you know what? We also all grew out of it. That happens when your child, like, identifies as a meow meow. Doesn't really continue into adulthood.
A few moments later.
Hi, I'm Mittens. I'm new to fronting, but I'm a cat alter. I don't know if I'm fully cat or not.
Meanwhile.
Someone said I'm not a real cat, that hurt. Ask the human to pop me a chocky cat meal.
You know what? We also all grew out of it. That happens when your child, like, identifies as a meow meow. Doesn't really continue into adulthood.
Wrong again, idiot.
Now wait a minute. Didn't that person we just heard from, who is a biological woman that identifies as a trans man, didn't that person just invalidate the identities of any adult who calls themselves a cat? What if someone did that to that person and said, well, I don't think you're a man, I think you're a woman. That person would say, well, you're a hateful bigot for not recognizing my identity. But it's okay for that person to say to someone, well, you're not really a cat, it's time to grow up. What a double standard going on in that community. Anyway, welcome back. Thank you guys so much for joining me. So I have a fairly quick and crazy clown world update for you guys today, and as usual, there is absolutely no time to waste, so let's get into it. Now, excuse me. Now, if you place your attention on the screen for a moment. So this picture is the perfect representation of the clown world we are currently living in. Let me explain. So 5 years ago, this would have just been a picture of two gay guys in a relationship, but not today. Today, this picture is two biological men who identify as trans women and call themselves lesbians. This is a picture of a lesbian couple.
So long, gay boys!
Alright, let's keep this party rolling with yet another clip from the young lad Harry. I know. I played a clip of young Harry in the last video, and I don't really like putting them in back-to-back videos, but when I saw this, I was just simply baffled by what comes out of this kid's mouth. But, as I stated in the last video, it is paid propaganda, so I guess it makes sense, right? Roll it.
Folks, can we just take a moment to realize how insane the Republican Party is? Like Donald Trump, the frontrunner in their party, the person that all the Republicans are supporting, has been indicted 4 times. He's facing 91 felony charges, over 700 years in prison. He's being accused of very, very serious crimes with a lot of evidence to back it up. This has never happened before in American history. Republicans don't care. No, they think it's all fake. They think it's all made up. They love the guy so much that they will defend him for this. That's not okay. That's weird. That's strange. That's not American. Donald Trump is also a proven abuser, might I add. Republicans seem to conveniently forget that one, but no, he was found liable for the abuse of E. Jean Carroll by a jury of his peers. Republicans are knowingly supporting a proven abuser for president. Donald Trump's organizations were also found guilty of fraud charges. Every single fraud charge brought against them, they were found guilty of. This guy is an awful human being objectively. He is a bad person. He's done bad things, and Republicans do not care. They're so entrenched in these conspiracy theories and talking about Hunter Biden and wokeness that they will support a proven abuser who's facing over 700 years in prison for president. That's not normal. The Republicans are crazy. Please do not put these lunatics back in office. We can't have that happen.
You are a f***ing moron.
All right, next up. So this individual here who has fairly recently transitioned just signed up and got accepted into university. So my question would be, sir, do you plan on using the women's restroom, women's locker room, going into the women's dorms? Like, what are we doing here? Roll it.
Things I never imagined I'd do when I transitioned. Going to uni. I picked up my student card yesterday, and I still can't believe that I'm doing this, that I'm holding this, that on Monday I'm going to university. If you'd have told me 3 years ago when I transitioned, I wouldn't have believed you. I was happy just to be myself, but the development that I've had since, the personal development, the confidence that's just grown, and I've just had a growing feeling that my job is something that old me chose to do, and I need to find my own path.
What the are you talking about, man?
All right, next up. So we've seen a bunch of these clips where people from a very specific community downplay parental rights and then they boost up so-called children's rights, but they do it very subtly as to not sound too creepy. Well, this person throws that right out the window. Roll it.
I'm just going to say it. I'm just going to say it. Parental rights. When queer kids' lives are at stake, parental rights.
Bad touch, stranger danger.
All right, so in a lot of these clips, we see these people feign outrage when they get misgendered. They get real upset and start crying and have a mental breakdown. But on the other hand, they also enjoy confusing people about which gender they are. For example, roll it.
I kind of like when people misgender me now, because like either way they're wrong and they can't tell what I am. So, because nobody's first guess is that I use they, so.
What the was that?
Now, we've seen a bunch of different reports and headlines over the past couple of years that talk about how employers try to avoid hiring people with pronouns in their bio, especially people that use they, them pronouns. Well, this is exactly why that is. Now, unfortunately, this is at a doctor's office or physical therapist's office, so it's kind of hard to avoid this person there, but this is why. Roll it.
Y'all, I'm tired. 7 a.m. at the physical therapy office, misgendered by someone who I've told my pronouns to. And I said, just to let you know, my pronouns are they, them. And they went, oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. And then I had to explain too many times to my physical therapist that I didn't want to do an exercise where I had to crunch my face into my boobs because that gives me gender dysphoria. And I ended up getting upset and started to softly cry and then quietly beg to leave and have the physical therapist just email me the exercises so I wouldn't have to actually be in the space to do them, and I could just do them at home. You know, I don't feel comfortable at most places in society, but when it comes to being at the doctor's office, it's important to feel cared for, respected, have your humanity honored.
Shut the up, okay? Shut the up.
All right, real quick, before we go any further, I want to give a huge shout out to the sponsor of today's video. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to let this loop on the screen. Now, I'm not exactly sure what we're looking at here, but if I had to guess, I would say this is some kind of promotional ad for the newest Barbie movie. It's going to be released later this year called Trailer Park Barbie. Anyway, today's video is being brought to us by Jake B. Jake B is a longtime subscriber. Jake, thank you so much for sponsoring today's video, sir. I really appreciate the support. And thank you for sticking around. I'm glad you're still enjoying the video. So Jake B is today's video sponsor. Now, if you'd like to sponsor the next video and help support the channel, there is a PayPal link in the description box below, and I will say your full name as a sponsor of said video unless stated otherwise by you. Please get this off the screen now.
And as for drugs, well, drugs are bad. You shouldn't do drugs. Okay.
All right, so this next clip is going to talk about being a cis ally to the trans community. Now, basically what you're going to hear is you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. So if you decide you want to be a cis ally to this community, You can't ask any questions, that's transphobic. Well, you'll hear the whole breakdown from this person. I just want to remind you guys, over here we fly the hashtag not an ally t-shirt in the description box below. Roll the film, please.
If you are told that something you're doing is transphobic, it is not your job to try to prove that it's not. You are going to mess up. It is guaranteed. If you are told information and you immediately reject it and go, nope, that doesn't fit my view of what transness means, you are not going to be able to show up as an ally because all you're worried about is what you think and you feel about an experience that's not yours. It's going to be uncomfortable, it's going to be confusing, and it's going to mean that you are going to have to evaluate how gender is seeped into society, how it has affected and shaped your life, how cis-het normativity has affected your life. And just because we're existing in front of you does not mean that you get to ask or say whatever you want, and that's supposed to be taken as a compliment. Questions can be transphobic. Compliments can be transphobic. And so that's where it comes in, where a lot of the work with being an ally actually has to do with our own individual reflections on how transphobic society has shaped the way that we think and live and treat people. We don't need allies who are trying to prove how good they are, or who are asking for a pat on the back, or who are trying to seem nice, or who are worried about what they look like. We need allies who are willing to stand up for trans people and learn how to do that the best that they can.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
All right, guys, we're going to be wrapping it up with this clip, and we've actually seen a few different clips like this in the past where we have these biological women who identify as trans men or non-binary or something along those lines, and they'll go out and get these gender-affirming piercings to make them feel like they have the wedding tackle. You guys know what I'm talking about. This person will explain it better than I can. Anyway, guys, things are clearly getting crazy out there, and listen, things are getting very crazy out there. It's going to be a rough ride for at least the next year, probably quite a bit after that, so just make sure you're taking care of yourselves physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. Look after your families. Take care of your loved ones. Just do what you got to do to stay safe, and we'll get through it. We'll try to keep laughing as best we can and get through these crazy times, guys. So please take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Till next time. Love you guys. Peace. Roll it.
The term itself is very broad and can refer to any piercing that anyone gets to affirm their gender identity. But a lot of times when people use this term, they're specifically talking about genital piercings that trans people get, which is what I was talking about in that video. The specific piercings that I have are paired labia piercings, and a lot of trans masculine people will get these piercings because they can be used to mimic the feeling of having balls. Balls of steel, if you will. The reason that a lot of people find this gender affirming is that when these piercings are done at a larger gauge and with heavier jewelry, it can influence the way that you walk and sit, and it can also add a physical weight to that area that a lot of people find to be gender affirming. Lynn Lowhide is a trans body piercer that does a lot of gender affirming piercing work, and they have amazing videos on their page talking about it more, which I highly recommend checking out. They also have a portfolio on their website that shows what some of these piercings look like, because sometimes it's hard to find a visual. I absolutely love these piercings. I had to take mine out because of some changes that happened after I took testosterone, but they absolutely did everything that I expected them to do.
Isn't that what makes a man? Sure, that and a pair of testicles.
And you ain't black.